staying with us. Please stay with us as we come back to you as we stay now in the region. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society has said that one of its staff members was killed and 3 others wounded in an Israeli attack on its headquarters in Khan Younis in Gaza. In a post on X, the aid organization said that Israeli forces targeted the headquarters, igniting a fire on the building's first floor. This comes just 2 days after U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff visited a U.S. and Israeli-backed aid site in Gaza to inspect efforts to get food into the devastated enclave. Aid agencies have repeatedly warned that Gaza is in the brink of a full-scale famine. The war in Gaza began when Hamas terrorists attacked Israel and killed over 1,200 people and took over 250 hostages, according to Israeli tallies. In response, Israel's military offensive has killed over 60,300 people, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. Now we go back to our guest discussion with Professor Gilad Hirschberger. He's a political psychologist at Richmond University. Thank you, Professor Gilad, for staying with us. Now, how does Israel plan to address this international criticism over the high civilian casualties in Gaza?
I think that here what we're facing is a certain discrepancy between the horrific images that we're seeing come out of the Gaza Strip of emaciated bodies of people suffering from hunger, and the actual data that the Hamas Ministry of Health, the Gaza Ministry of Health, is publicizing. And I looked at the data, and I wanted to see the casualty rate over time from 2023, from October 7th until this day. And what I found are a few things. First of all, you see that there is a month-to-month decline in the number of casualties over time. So in spite of what many people think, what we're actually seeing is fewer casualties as the war goes on. I also tried to estimate the number of armed militants among the casualties. The Hamas Ministry of Health does not publicize, does not distinguish between civilian and armed people, and also does not distinguish between deaths that are related to the conflict and natural death. So I tried to sort that out, and I defined military-age men from the age of 17 to 55, as probably being a proxy for Hamas. And what we see over time is a closing gap between civilian casualties and militant casualties. What that means is that in 2023, about 80% of casualties were civilian. By now, it's nearly 50-50. What that means is that Israel is actually becoming more precise in its targeting of Hamas, and lower percent of civilians is being hit. There's also, at this point in time, and I'm saying this carefully, at this point in time, there is no indication of any hunger-related death in the Gaza, no uptick in the number of casualties. That, of course, could change. Maybe we'll see that in the coming months, but at least right now, we do not see any evidence for this.
And Professor Gilad, so what measures are being taken to protect humanitarian workers who are working in Gaza to prevent further civilian suffering?
So the whole issue of aid distribution is very complex. There are a few elements to it. One is aid needs to enter the Gaza Strip. And the second part is that aid needs to be distributed in the Gaza Strip. The distribution issue is complex because much of the aid is looted by Hamas. This is aid that is supposed to be distributed for free to the civilian population, and instead Hamas loots the aid and sells it on the market. And this is part of the reason that we're seeing not enough aid reaching various parts of the Gaza Strip. And because Hamas has been doing this through UNRWA, Israel has attempted to replace, the UN has attempted to replace UNRWA with the GHF, with the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, an American organization. So far, it seems like that has failed miserably. The GHF has been extremely ineffective in distributing aid. There's been chaos in the distribution centers. Civilians have been shot when they were trying to get to the distribution centers. So far it's not working very well. So on the one hand, it is justified to try to get the aid away from Hamas, but the way that it's been done so far is a catastrophe, and I hope that this will be resolved soon.
And Professor, now how does Israel military think of balancing these military objectives while protecting international aid?
Again, I didn't hear your question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was asking that how does Israeli military balance its objectives with efforts to protect international aid, not reaching Hamas, but the people who need it?
So now, after the images from Gaza, from especially northern Gaza, have come out, then everybody's scrambling to try to get aid as quickly as possible into the Strip. But ultimately, there has to be a better solution. The current situation cannot continue. As I said before, this is time to end the war. This is time to reach an agreement. One of the reasons that aid cannot be distributed to some parts, or it's difficult to distribute to some parts of the Strip, is because of the fighting. When there's fighting going on, it's more difficult for convoys, for trucks of aid to reach certain areas. We need to end the war. We need to reach some kind of an agreement, hopefully an agreement that involves the disarmament of Hamas and a different political entity that will rule over the Gaza Strip. And that will also help resolve the humanitarian crisis.
Thank you very much, Professor Gilad Hirschberger, for joining us today and sharing your insight all the way from Israel.